It'll take time to restore chaos.
Mr. The Weeknd and I haven't had the best relationship. Not that we have any relationship, I don't think he knows who I am, but you know what I mean. As an artist who runs in hip-hop circles and as a person who enjoys that kind of music, our paths were bound to cross, but although I've heard plenty of songs and features by him, I never actually dove headfirst into a proper album of his, which is a bit of a shame since whatever I have heard I do generally enjoy. Unfortunately, around the time I was probably most likely to jump into a proper body of work of his, he released what is probably his most infamous.
Fucking stretch that tiny little pussy.
There's a lot I could say about The Idol and its... ugh. But I think people have done that plenty and I really won't have anything new to say, so I'll just leave it at The Idol is the worst piece of visual media I've ever seen in my life. That might sound hyperbolic to you, and it is, but only because that isn't true anymore. Just as I was thinking, it's been 2 years, maybe I should try and give him a fair shot again. Yo.
Hey, you wanna see that Hurry Up Tomorrow film?
9 words, and they sealed my fate. Hurry Up Tomorrow is the most masturbatory display of self-pity I have ever seen in my life. I have never so clearly seen the writer of a film just balls out, jerking himself off than when I watched this film. It is a warning, a cautionary tale to any musical act who wants to try and make their own Pink Floyd's The Wall. Watch yourself, or you might end up with this instead. The film follows Mr. The Weeknd, or Abel as we shall call him in this context, as he struggles with performance anxiety and depression made worse by a recent breakup caused by him doing something. After losing his voice mid-performance, Abel runs away, only to encounter a fan by the name of Anima, who is a little intense, but fuck it, he needs to blow off some steam, so they go out and party and run around, eventually ending the night with him playing her an unfinished demo, to which she just bawls her fucking eyes out over. Which brings me to the singular, overwhelming flaw of this film. It's not the shitty acting, it's not the terrible pacing, it is its feverish, idolic worship of The Weeknd's music. The Weeknd's music, according to this film, is God's greatest gift to man. It is so fucking deep and incredible, it touches the human spirit in ways no one has before. Oh my god, he's literally me. I swear I have seen hentai that suck less dick than this film. It is truly exhausting to watch all of this play out, made even worse by the fact that the film thinks it's actually about Abel's flaws, which maybe would be a bit believable if they actually showed us his flaws instead of just playing Weeknd music. The best we get is him leaving a very bitter voicemail and sleeping with his fan, and then being a dick afterwards, which, not to minimize being a dick, kinda just sounds like being a celebrity, and also probably doesn't justify being tied down to a bed and nearly burned down alive. Yeah, that's the other problem. Why would I care about The Weeknd's flaws when this psychopath is right next to him, screaming at him to be honest without explaining what she even means by that? This all culminates in her playing the tied down Abel a bunch of his own songs back at him and begins breaking them down to him genius lyric style. And the way he placates her is by singing more Weeknd songs. Now, there are implications that Anima is meant to be some kind of subconscious or at the very least metaphorical manifestation of Abel's toxic tendencies, one of those implications being that her name is fucking Anima. And the film is edited in a very surreal, psychedelic way that leaves you guessing how much of it is actually true. But if that's the case and Anima is meant to be more of a reflection of Abel, did he do this to his girlfriend? Did he tie her to a bed and play her a bunch of his own music? Did he kill his own manager and then burn a hotel to the ground? Maybe I had it backwards. This wasn't his version of The Wall, it's his version of American Psycho. Everything makes sense now. While I was writing this script, I actually decided to listen to the Hurry Up Tomorrow album, but while I don't think it's a masterpiece like I've seen other people claim, it's far too bloated and I don't think Abel is necessarily the best lyricist, I enjoyed it way more, not just as a work of art generally, but as an exploration of Abel's mental health, drug and relationship issues. In particular, songs like Cry For Me, Baptized in Fear, Enjoy the Show, Given Up on Me, The Red Terror and others are very compelling works about basically the same thing as the film, and I think that's down to two reasons. One, it's generally easier and more acceptable to just talk about yourself through music in a blunt and direct manner than it is for film, especially narrative film. And two, Hurry Up Tomorrow the film isn't really about the same themes as the album as much as it is just about the album. It isn't meant to add to the Weeknd's art, it's meant to venerate it. It's not a companion piece, it's just promotion. Promotion in the most over-the-top, self-absorbed way, all made even worse by the fact that it didn't have to be this way. And the reason I know this is because someone else has already done this exact same thing, but better. Entergalactic is the 8th studio album by rapper and singer Kid Cudi. It is also a Netflix adult animated film that acts as a very evocative visual accompaniment to the album with which it shares its name. A very similar situation to Hurry Up Tomorrow, and yet the actual products could not have been handled more differently. Unlike Hurry Up Tomorrow the film, Entergalactic the film is, first and foremost, a film. It's not promotion, it's not an expansion or a masturbatory analysis of something else, it is a film. It has a story with themes and characters who have relationships that evolve and change over the course of the film, which sounds like a given, doesn't it? You'd think that just any film would have that, wouldn't you? It's not having basic storytelling components that make Entergalactic a great film, it's being a great film that makes it a great film. But specifically in comparison to Hurry Up Tomorrow, what makes Entergalactic such a great piece of synergetic media with its tie-in album is that the relationship between the two is far more equivalent. That is to say, it feels like both pieces of media are two separate takes on the same basic concept, then brought back together to create a holistic artistic vision. Watching the film makes the songs hit harder, and knowing those songs makes the moments where they show up in the film also hit harder. Kid Cudi uses Entergalactic not as a vehicle to promote himself, but as an avenue to create something entirely new. He set out to actually do something, as opposed to just swimming up his own arsehole and wallowing in his own shit. Man, that's disgusting. Why did I write? Ugh. I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to shit on Mr. The Weeknd for making a personal film about his mental health struggles. I like that stuff. A lot of my favourite pieces of media could be described as such. And let's not forget, I liked the album. But the film is just so clearly self-obsessed, so convinced of its own glory that it's just obnoxious to watch. It feels like it was made by someone who uses art as a substitute for therapy and thinks that that makes them a better person. And it's like, nigga, I'd rather you just go to therapy at this point. Maybe it'll help you work through that emptiness, some of that generational trauma, maybe even your weird woman troubles, and who knows, maybe then you'll finally make a decent film. I need help. I do everything on a shitty Surface Pro 7 and it sucks. It's 5 years old and slower than my 2-year-old niece, so I need a new laptop. Or rather, an actual laptop. Unfortunately, I'm not all that liquid at the moment, so I would very much appreciate your support. If you like what I do and want to help me not only keep at it, but improve at it, then you can donate either to my Ko-fi, Patreon, or buy my music on Bandcamp. A big thank you to everyone who has donated already, including my patrons, in particular Michael Coolwood and El Bigante. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.